Greetings all, and welcome to another episode of Reflecting on Divinity. I am Deidre Prescod, and today we continue our journey through reflecting on divinity with a reflection that may stir something deep, even uncomfortable, but necessary. Let us begin as always with a breath. May the part of us that is ready to be honest rise to meet this message. This week's reflection reads, any past or present scenario that is contaminated with information that is not true can only spawn within its own lineage and cannot produce a future condition that is harmonious. Let that settle. Sometimes we wonder why peace eludes us, why certain patterns repeat, why no matter how much we plan, intend, or pray, something still feels off. This reflection points us to a powerful truth. If the story we are standing on is built on falsehood, whether that falsehood was told to us or by us, then harmony will not emerge. It cannot. It is not about punishment. It is about vibration. Truth has a frequency. So does distortion. And everything that is born from distortion, every thought, every decision, every structure, will carry the residue of that untruth. It will spawn in its own lineage, like a branch growing from a twisted root. This could be a personal narrative. I am not worthy. I will always be alone. I have to struggle to earn love. Or a cultural one. Some people are better than others. This land belongs to us. This is the only true way. Even if we sincerely believe the lie, even if it was passed down with love, culture, or tradition, even if it shaped our entire sense of self, the outcome will still carry the distortion. Because what we believe to be true sets the boundaries of how we think, feel, and act. If you believe the world is unsafe, you will make choices from fear. If you believe you are unworthy, you will shrink yourself or overextend to prove otherwise. If you believe that struggle is necessary for growth, you may reject peace even when it arrives. This is why untruths, no matter how familiar or well-intentioned, can never produce harmony. They alter your vision, they skew your decisions, and they create futures based not on your essence, but on your programming. This isn't just theory. We can see this truth on a collective level, especially in the story of people of African descent. When our ancestors were captured, transported, and enslaved, they knew they were victims of war. They knew they were still whole, despite what was being done to them. But as time passed, and generations were born into systems of slavery, colonialism, and oppression, the original awareness was lost. The story became contaminated. And the tragedy, that contamination, it became internalized. Where once our people knew the truth of who they were, divine, intelligent, capable, later generations began to believe the lie that they were inferior, that they were destined for servitude, that survival meant assimilation. And because that lie shaped belief, and belief shaped behavior, the outcomes today are not just echoes. They are the ongoing fruits of a false root. Educational systems, justice systems, economic disparity, self-worth. The outcomes are like chalk and cheese, entirely different from what they could be had truth remained intact. And this pattern is not unique to us. Indigenous people whose lands were stolen, women who were told their voices didn't matter, whole cultures erased or rewritten. Wherever a foundational lie is planted, distortion follows. The only way to shift the outcome is to reclaim the story, to remember, to reroot in truth. But let us be clear. When something is contaminated, rot sets in. And if we pretend all parts are still whole, we risk losing what could have been saved. Not every piece of fruit survives a spoiled core. Some parts must be acknowledged as unfit. Not with blame, but with honesty. Not everything can be healed. Some mindsets, some structures, some legacies have passed the point of return. And unless we isolate what was decayed, we run the risk of letting the rot spread. This is not judgment. It is discernment, the sacred task of protecting what remains viable, fertile, redeemable. And those who can see, those with access to education, to platforms, to resources, must stop pretending that they are above the fray. Looking down from the mountain while others are gasping in the valley does not make you wise. It makes you an accessory to the crime. The crime of silence, the crime of superiority, the crime of seeing and still doing nothing. Because if your clarity does not lift the collective, then it is not clarity. It is spiritual bypassing in designer clothing. Empty performance dressed up as enlightenment. A polished appearance that is more hindrance than help. And the pressure we are under right now, it is not just the weight of the original lie. It is the consequence of inaction, of failing to confront what's decaying before our very eyes. But let us pause here, because not all have turned away. So, to the ones who are showing up day after day, unseen and uncelebrated, to those creating ripples of truth in the quiet, bridging gaps, holding space, opening eyes, we see you and we thank you. And now more than ever, we must beseech one another. Do not let petty differences keep us blind to the bigger picture. We won't all speak the same language or move the same way. We weren't born of the same parents or even the same lands. But even in one family, perspectives differ. What matters is this: are we willing to reach across the lines, to adjust, to listen, and to act? Not just for self, but for truth. Because harmony is not uniformity. It is alignment. Just as seeds bear fruit after their kind, so too do stories. When our lives are seeded with half-truths or distortions, however well-meaning, they will echo into our future. Harmony demands a reckoning with our foundations and a courageous return to what is true, even if it shatters the familiar. Ask yourself gently, what story am I still carrying that might not be true? What am I doing to make a positive difference? You do not need to know the full answer right now, but just asking loosens the soil. This is not about blame. It is about awareness. And the moment awareness enters, the lineage of distortion loses power. Thank you for sitting with this reflection. If it stirred something in you, share it with someone you trust. Start a new lineage, one where truth, however raw, leads the way. I will see you next week. Until then, reflect, awaken, embody. Ashe.